Law and order. Calls are growing louder for criminal justice reforms. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
From politics to your money,
your health, your family and community.
Getting the answers from the experts who know.
And asking the questions that matter to you.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on City News.
It's a staggering number. It's a frightening number. According to government documents, in one year, 256 people in Canada were charged with murder while they were out on bail or while they were serving conditional sentences like house arrest. And opposition MPs and some provincial politicians want some answers and changes made to the criminal justice system. Frank Caputo is a Conservative member of Parliament. Kamloops Thompson Caribou is the riding. He's also a former Crown prosecutor. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Rob. Thank you for having me.
You, along with some New Democrats, are calling for a meeting of the Public Safety Committee. Why?
Yes, that's right. We don't actually have New Democrat approval at this time unless it's come in the last few minutes, and I haven't seen it. But we're calling for the meeting precisely for the reason that you just outlined, 256 homicides in 2022. That's up dramatically from 2021 having 171. 171 in 2020 at 198. So the numbers are trending upwards, and in our view, this is an emergency situation. Even NDP Premier David Eby here, after a seemingly random killing, has called for bail reform. This is something that we need to look at because the Liberals just aren't taking it as seriously as I feel and as we as Conservatives feel that they should be.
Okay. You mentioned this terrible story out of British Columbia and the murder of a woman by the name of Torrey Dunn. The accused in that case has an extensive criminal record going back decades. Convictions for many violent crimes, Mr. Caputo, and was out on bail. Now standing charged with murder. What do you want to know about what happened in that case?
Well, I certainly, generally, I can't comment on anything that's before the courts specifically, Rob. But, if I was to look at the case itself, I would look at, was this a consent release? My understanding is it wasn't, as in the Crown opposed his release. And I'd really be interested to see the judge's reasonings. If the judge is citing the principles that have come from the Supreme Court of Canada that the Liberals not only haven't pushed back on, they've actually embraced, saying that there should be release at the least owner's condition, on the least owner's conditions at the earliest possible opportunity, and what I would call the watering down of reverse onus provisions that say if you are in this category, then you should not be released. That's what I would want to see is the justification, because the justification for the release will tell us exactly why that happened. Now, in this particular case, it would be inappropriate for me to criticize a judicial official, but I can say that we can certainly talk about and criticize statistics, because these statistics don't lie. 256 homicides, and this really does lay at the feet of the Trudeau government and their unwillingness to do anything about the issues with bail.
Okay, but you said they haven't done anything. They would say, well, we have brought in bail reform. And in fact, bail reforms came into force this year, January of this year, under C-46, including reverse onus for some violent crimes. Where does that legislation fall short, in your opinion, then?
Well, in my view, that legislation on a scale of 1 to 10 went about a 1.5. It didn't go far enough. What it does is it made wider use of the reverse onus. My position is that the reverse onus clearly isn't working. It's something that either needs to be addressed in case law, as in what does a reverse onus mean? Because I've read the case law. I used to teach at our local law school here, and at times I'm a bit puzzled baffled as to how the reverse onus is treated as it is. But if you look at one of my bills, a private member's bill, Bill C-313, to address gun crime, because we're talking about a small group of people committing a disproportionate amount of violent offenses. And what I do there is I say, look, the reverse onus, as we know it, isn't working. We need to ratchet this up and make the bail hill harder to climb. Now, the Liberals will say that they have had bail reform. It's very small, but what they don't like to say is that they've legislated house arrest for things like drive-by shootings. You can now do a drive-by shooting and serve house arrest, extortion with a firearm, robbery with a firearm, gun offenses. You can get house arrest for all of those offenses. We are not sending the right message in our bail proposals, in our bail legislation or in our sentencing when we have that mindset. And in my view, that mindset permeates so much of what this Liberal government does.
Okay. I guess here's one of the obstacles to toughening up, say, bail conditions. You have Section 11E of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it says any person charged with an offense has the right not to be denied reasonable bail without just cause. So how do you make bail reforms that can still withstand, say, a charter challenge? Not to get too technical about it, but...
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, the Charter is the supreme law, and we must bear that in mind. Again, one of the issues when you get into charter challenges is what we call overbreadth, as in too many people are captured. That's why we as Conservatives are looking at a small group of people who are committing disproportionate amounts of crime, particularly violent crime. So in my view, in order to make laws charter compliant, they have to target, no pun intended, people who are doing violent crime and gun crime. We're not a party that says, look, for people who have made a mistake, they don't get a second chance. We're not saying that. We're saying for the very small group of people who commit very serious drug crimes, violent crimes, crimes against children, that we need to address this. And this is when we have, since Trudeau came in, violent crime being up 39%, murders up 43%, gangland homicides up 108%. So we need to do something. I don't see the Charter as an obstacle because I believe that if we are targeting this narrow group of people, legislation can be made compliant with the Charter.
Okay. Mr. Caputo, thanks for your time, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, bye-bye. Frank Caputo is a Conservative member of Parliament, former Crown Prosecutor, Kamloops. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know on the City News.